Okay, each week we're going to be dealing with what I'll call sketch sessions. You're going to actually be sitting down and drawing from life, drawing from photographs, and sometimes combining both life and photographs, sometimes drawing from the television, drawing from photographs that you've actually taken. So designers and illustrators use a variety of means to create their imagery, and that's what we're about in this class. This is a little different than a formal, we're going to set up a still life and draw that for 3 hours. Usually we, unless we're actually working on an illustration and taking it to a finished point, we're not going to be dealing with 3-hour drawings. Most of what we will be doing is an hour or less. But you'll have weekly sketch sessions in which there are certain things that you are to draw in your sketchbook, and then you will choose the two best to scan or photograph and upload to our discussion board so we can look at them and talk about them. And those will be graded, of course. And so one of the things that you need to understand is that the more time you spend drawing, the more quickly you improve and the better you become at it, obviously. That's kind of redundant, but if you only do the minimum just to get by, you will not move forward very quickly. And your level of skill from this first week all the way through week 12 will not change that much. So we're looking for growth and maturity in terms of your ability to capture what you see, or drawing from your imagination and putting it down on the paper. So I'm just going to go over very quickly what you're going to be doing in your first sketch session, and then actually take you through a drawing process. So you'll just basically be watching me. I'll comment as I go, but mostly you'll be watching and I'll be drawing. So your first assignment, your first series of sketches are objects that are cylindrical, spherical, and cubical. So a box of Kleenex tissue, a cup, a vase, a jar would be your cylindrical objects. Any sort of box would be your cube object, and then a sphere would be a ball, or it could be a piece of fruit, something that has some roundness to it. So that said, remember the mouse? I'm going to draw this. So I'm actually going to put this in front of me, and you'll only be seeing part of it in the scene here. But I'm just going to show you what we're about this first week, and we're dealing with contour and gesture line. And what we want to do is actually draw what we're seeing, not what we think we're seeing, not a symbol of it, but this thing that we're actually seeing, the proportion. Don't worry about the color, but worry about all the surfaces and the edges and the seams on it. And it's in perspective from my angle, and so I'm seeing some of this face, I'm seeing the curve, I'm seeing the side face. I don't see this, so I have to assume, but I understand that there's a volume to this, and so that's what I'm going to be dealing with. So I'm going to put that back up there, and I'm going to start drawing. And sometimes the most intimidating thing, especially if you're not used to drawing, is where to start. Well, I'm going to start at the corner that's closest to me, and so I'm just going to throw that in there lightly. And then I'm going to get just a basic idea, gesturally, of what this is doing. So basically I've drawn the footprint that's actually planted on the ground, and then I know that it has a kind of a spherical quality to it, so I'm going to create that. It has a sense of side, back, front, and so forth. And I'll use a variety of pencils just because that's what I'm used to doing. This is a 2B. Actually, you can do this all with a 2B. or you can change up and play around with different pencils as you desire. Notice the gesture, just laying things in. What you want to go for is something that's convincing. Is it believable? Does it look like what it's supposed to be? Drawing is communication, and that's probably the most important thing about it. If you're doing a portrait, you're communicating what somebody looks like. If you're doing a technical drawing, you're communicating information about a product or about a object in some way. Notice that this is very sketchy. I'm not, at this point, really concerned about it being absolutely perfect. I just want to be able to get the proportions comfortably, and starting loosely like this is actually it's fairly comfortable for people. It again reduces the intimidation factor if you're not used to drawing or you consider it something that is beyond your capability, which would be why you're in this class anyway. Designers should draw. We want to keep it two-line as much as possible, so I'm not going to do a whole lot of filling in with tone. It will be very sketchy. But just enjoy the movement of your hand, the sense of the pencil point against the paper. It has a very different feel than a mouse, and even than a tablet and stylus. Okay. So that's basically what I'm seeing. And does it look convincing? Hopefully it does. Now, this object is sitting in the middle of this great big empty, and what I want you to get used to doing is grounding your objects on a surface in some way. And basically that can be as simple as just drawing a ground plane line to indicate that yes, this is sitting on a surface. And that's all you need to do. It's that simple. But it gives it a place in space. And the other thing you can do, which I will start encouraging, is to actually define your picture plane so that you understand that there are limits to a scene or a two-dimensional representation of something. And that way you can start looking at, okay, how is this relating to the edges of the picture plane?